What's good? It's your boy Trav. Welcome back to the Good and Terrible Show. That is my wonderful co-star Mickey right there in the palm trees. We got another good
Yeah.
episode for you as always. Thanks again for watching. For all the fans out there who have been watching, today we got another little special treat for y'all. And for the folks on Facebook, I told y'all this was coming. This is I told you be on the lookout for our take with everything that's been going on with the Will and Jada situation. Listen, I know celebrities' lives ain't our lives, so it doesn't make a whole lot of point for us to get caught up and wrapped up into the celebrity gossip, celebrity issues. But listen, this scenario is funny as hell, so we got to do an episode on this. There's way too much going on. Me and Will chilling over here with the stank face. We got a whole lot to talk about today. And listen, this is something we ain't seen in a long time. So this is going to be an entertaining episode. But with that said, this is something I know Mickey really wanted to do. I watched the August Alsina interview. We both watched the interview. We watched the Red Table Talk with Jada. We've seen all the listen, Black Twitter, Black Facebook, Black Instagram. Y'all are amazing for all the memes that's happened with this
So
scenario, with this
quickly.
situation, man.
It was
This
literally
is
like an hour later, and the memes was just.
this is pure entertainment for the quarantine, man. I'm so glad that this happened during the quarantine time. So we were able to experience the fullness of the creativity with
Hmm.
this. But you know what? I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start with this issue. Mickey, I'm gonna kick it over to you. I'm gonna let you. I know
Yeah,
you got a lot to say about this scenario.
I do.
Just
I went through a couple of emotions because I was just like you said, celebrities' lives are not our lives, right? So really, it doesn't matter. But because we're in quarantine, and because most people are stuck in the house, and because there's nothing else really to do, it's entertainment. It's funny. You know what I mean?
But you know
Like,
what? I feel like it does matter a little bit, just because so many people are so easily influenced by celebrities that, like,
yes,
the things that are happening in these people's lives, they they think a lot of times that just because a celebrity does it, that it's okay to do.
yeah,
So, well,
right.
we'll
And
we'll
then
get to that.
right, and then and then the other thing too, like you said, people I feel like worship celebrities almost, so to speak, where they idolize them and they don't take into account that we only see what they put out for us to see. You don't see what happens behind the scenes at their homes, their conversations, how they treat each other. You know what I mean? Like I feel like in any situation in a relationship, you only see the pretty glossy part. You don't see the arguments, the insecurities, the infidelity if they're married, like all of that stuff. And I feel like this is the perfect example of the grass is not always greener on the other side just because this person is famous or they're rich. Like rich people have problems, famous people have problems, and it was more so to me when it came out when August had the interview. I was like, the first thing I said was that boy not lying. There's no reason for him to lie about this.
You know
Absolutely
what?
not.
At first, I thought there might have been a little bit of a lie, just
Mm-hmm.
because of his from like a career standpoint. So August Alsina, obviously was real big with a few hits. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And then he got mentally sick, he got physically sick and all that. And I feel like he came out of the limelight. I feel like people weren't buzzing about August Alsina anymore. I feel like his career had kind of taken a downturn. And I feel like I wouldn't have put it past them to have done something like this as kind of a publicity stunt to kind of get back into center stage. You know what I mean? But
Oh yeah.
when you watch the sincerity of it, I mean, I wouldn't have put it past her at that time before the Red Table Talk. I wouldn't have put it past Jada to have done it, but I also wouldn't have passed August Alsina to have lied about it.
And like made it up. I thought that too. I was like, is this because his album is dropping? Because that was also the big buzz. Like I guess he
Exactly.
was dropping a project, but the way he, like you said, the way he spoke about it and how passionate he seemed and how sincere. And I honestly think he's a really nice guy. He seems really sweet. Like I remember, I think it was his sister that passed away, and he like adopted her children. Like he takes care of them, and he's had his own health issues. So I think all jokes aside, all the memes aside, like, you know, he's a good person. I'm sure they're all nice people, but this situation is just like, wow, like this is bananas. And the first thing I said was like, okay, if he is telling the truth, how come, and this is me speaking from like a celebrity mindset, because my paper is not there yet, but it will be one day, amen. How, how as a celebrity could you sleep with someone and you're married, right? Open relationship or not, we'll get into that. And you don't get them to sign an NDA. I was just like, wait a minute. Celebrity 101 is most of the time, from what I've like seen on social media and stuff, most celebrities, you know, they deal with you. You got to sign that contract like, hey, whatever happened between me and you take it outside of wherever it happened at, I'm going to sue you. So when he was talking about it, I was like, okay, if he's telling the truth, Jada, you didn't make him sign an NDA? Like, you've been in the game long enough to know that this is, I know this. My tax bracket should not even know this, but I know this. Like, how do you just let him be like, oh, okay, I trust you not to say anything? But
I mean, I knew something was fishy when he got to the part about him saying that Will Smith gave him his blessing.
Yeah,
I knew something was funny, like at the moment they got to that. Like before, I was like, yeah, it's kind of 50-50. The moment he started talking about Will gave him a blessing, I was like, all right. I know there's been a lot of rumors about Will and Jada having an open marriage, which, as far as we know now, with more clarification, is not true. It wasn't necessarily an open marriage. We'll get to that in a second. But Will don't seem like that type of dude to let that just he's not that guy. You know, from what
like
I've
he's
seen.
nice, but he's not that nice.
Exactly. Look at this man's face. He's not. He ain't the type to just be like, all right, yo, shorty, come slide through my wife. Like, no, that's not the business. That's not it. That's not how it's gonna roll. And can we talk about my man's hair for a second? what in the world was August Alsina going through? You know, something was going through his head. He still got some mental issues when you saw that hair. Listen, I wear a lot of stuff that's out there, right?
Yes, he does.
But I'm not I'm never coming out the house with the red, yellow, orange hair, whatever color that is.
That was his Keisha Cole moment. That's why, because he was so deep in his feelings, he had to channel his inner Keisha Cole.
Yeah, because Keisha Cole be in her feelings.
That's what I'm saying. That's what he was trying to convey. Like, this is how much I am emotional right now. I'm gonna let y'all know my hair color.
Oh my goodness.
That sherbet colored hair. It was beautiful.
Listen, and if the August Alsina interview wasn't wild enough, and then sparked the first generation of memes,
right?
And then it came out, saying Jada denies it, Will said this, blah 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 blah, with all these media things, and then we finally get to the red table talk, and if the August Alsina interview wasn't entertaining enough, let me tell you, this red table talk was 12 minutes of pure gold comedy. That was one of the, I was tickled. Like, that's the word I got. I was tickled in my chair.
Were you tickled pink? You had to be tickled pink. Were you tickled pink or were you just tickled?
Listen, I'm too dark to get pink, but
okay.
That's 12 minutes of somebody tickling me. I was so weak by the end of that video with just so much to go off of. The reactions just, oh my gosh. I wish I could, listen, I would have made that a full-length feature movie if I could have. That was gold. Comedy. If anybody else is like me out there who lives for just making jokes and making people laugh, it doesn't get much better than this red table talk. I was so, I can't even begin.
It was like butter on hot toast. Like, it was just so nice.
Oh my goodness, that was like that first water bottle after a Popeye's biscuit. That was just so satisfying. Oh my gosh.
that first sip of lemonade after you choked yourself almost to death.
Whew. That was like when you ain't had Chick-fil-A in a while and you get that first sip of their lemonade.
I had Chick-fil-A the other day. It was
See, look.
It was quite tasty.
If you get the cookies and cream milkshake without having to go to the bathroom afterwards, oh my goodness, that's how that red table talk.
That's never gonna happen because we're lactose intolerant. So either way, you're gonna have an episode. But yeah, I think that because remember I texted you after I watched it and it dropped. I believe it was on a weekday and it was like the middle of the day And I saw it 23 minutes after they released it. Within a couple hours, it was like at 1 million views. I was like, yo, this is crazy, because everybody was talking about it. Like, of course,
Millions of people.
Black folks, we talking about it, but I feel like I saw other outlets that were like, predominantly white, or like other audiences, like
Bruh,
talking about
CNN covered it. CNN did an
it.
article about it. Like People Magazine did it. Like, bruh, some of the biggest media outlets in the world covered this Red Table Talk. That is
Right.
insane.
Which is kind of ridiculous to show you how I feel like America is obsessed with the celebrity, because there's so many other things going on right now that should not be the forefront of like major news networks. Blogs and Instagram, like, fine, I'll give y'all that, but like CNN, come on, CNN, you got some other content for us. Like, this is not like, it's not major news. It's not majorly important. I'll let you go, because I had something to say, but I think you're gonna piggyback off of it, because we haven't, neither one of us has talked about like how we really felt. So I don't know what Travis has to say yet.
Okay. Listen, first of all, to clear up the open marriage rumors, the first thing that I'm gonna say is Jada, I put, while I'm sure Will has probably done some dirt too that we don't know about, just based on the facts at hand that we have here, you can't sit here and try to defend Jada with a straight face. And I've seen a lot of people try. And I commend you for your honorary efforts, but no, Jada is 100% in the wrong here. First things first. If you are not divorced, you are married.
Thank you.
You're not single. I don't care if you're separated. I don't care if you're not even living together at that point, which they still were. But even if they weren't living together at that point, until your status says divorced, you are married. What she
until
did.
You sign those papers, like Usher said.
Yeah.
You are legally married.
Exactly.
God is not recognizing you as, no, you're married, okay?
Bingo.
Thank you for saying that, because that's one of my big things. Like, people was like, well, they were separated. You can't separate if you're married. This is not a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. What are you talking about?
Right, exactly. You can make all the justifications, all the excuses that you want.
Yeah.
It's about, they said they were done with each other. It doesn't matter what they said. It matters what it is. You are still married. That is 100% adultery. You know what I'm saying? So
call a spade. That's adultery.
And y'all really ran wild with this entanglement word, man. Oh my God. She threw out that joint like she must have gone into the thesaurus or the dictionary or something before that. She is a wordsmith.
She strategically found another word for infidelity, for adultery, and for cheating. And it was pure genius. And I applaud her, because I don't think I would have had the thought to go, let me pull out a thesaurus real quick. Let me get the synonyms for cheating.
But people forgetting the funniest, at least to me, the funniest part about that was how quick Will set her straight with that. Because she said entanglement about 2 or 3 times, and he was just all to be like, all right, I had enough. It was a relationship. Right. He said entanglement.
like BITC, stop playing with me. That's when the Philly came out. He like, bitch, stop playing with me, yo. Like,
I really think that's the thing that gets lost the most in this Red Table Talk, is how subtly savage Will Smith was in that interview or in that video. My man's was comedy gold, bro.
He was throwing shots. He was throwing low-key shots.
Oh, he was throwing shots. He said, I'm gonna get you back. And she said, it ain't about, getting somebody back. He said, for me it is. I was like, yo, I can't wait to see how this unfolds, man. Yeah. But it was just cringeworthy, because you could tell I feel like he's still not 100% over it yet. Like, he's putting on a straight face because he knows America's watching. He knows how Black people have put them on like a Black love pedestal, relationship goals and all that stuff. Yeah. They got them up there with Jay-Z and Beyonce and Barack and Michelle, and people talk about Will and Jada in the same way. So he knows what they mean to the culture. But you could tell, again, look at his face. You can tell right here, you can tell that this man still got some hurt in his face.
He looked like
You
he
know what I'm
ain't
saying?
slept in a week. Like he looks exhausted.
He is brave, and I see a lot of girls talking about, not every man can be a Will. You daggone right, not
Mm,
every man could be a Will Smith, because let me tell you something, dog. He
mm.
even said interview. He said it's amazing that I'm even still talking to you
Yes.
after all this time. He did not want. He was completely done with Jada, which goes to show how much of a not open marriage they had. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because you don't get like that over if everybody's giving out hall passes. You know what I'm saying? That's if
Yeah.
like y'all really had a connection, and then y'all had, something happened and you were done with each other. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And the fact that they were able to even rebuild that, while goofy as it may seem, it does show a real strong communication level that I will say needs to be commended, because there's not a whole lot of people that would have been able to talk through that. They even said they went to therapy and relationship counseling and all that stuff. So that's my thing.
Yeah.
I think I'm not gonna go out on a full limb and say that she was a predator. Like people will say, because a lot the words being thrown around a lot. But I will say, in my personal belief, she 100% exemplified predatory behavior.
Oh,
Right?
for sure.
And there's
Yeah.
there's multiple different types of predator. Predator just doesn't have one specific type. It's not just like some 45-year-old dude trying to mac on a 16-year-old girl or something like that, or some Catholic priest going after an altar boy. Like, everybody knows those are predators. But
Mhm.
predators is anybody that's you know exploiting somebody else for personal gain, right? And in this case, not only was August a friend of her son's, a friend of Jaden, but they also, both of them also talked about in the video how he was not just mentally sick at that time, he was physically sick. He had a lot of personal issues going on. My man was mentally ill. He had ailments and illnesses and all this stuff that was going on. And he came to them for a place of therapy, for a place of healing or whatever. And no matter how folks can try to justify it, no matter how she can try to justify it, you know what she did, she took advantage of somebody who was vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Now, I get he wasn't underage, he wasn't a minor, he was a full grown, technically consenting adult. I
Mhm.
get that. So people are finding that as a loophole, but that still doesn't mean what she did wasn't wrong. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how I feel about it. You can tell there's probably more to the story that even as much as they've shared, there's probably even more to the story than they've left out. And I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like we're not gonna. I feel like this isn't the end of the story. I feel like we're gonna have more that's probably gonna come out in the next year or so. So
Yeah.
that's just me. That's how I felt about
Yeah. I
it.
I feel all the same things you said, and especially the thing about her having her displaying predatory behavior. My question is, and I'm a female saying this, if the roles were reversed and Will has slept with one of Jaden's female friends,
Or one
and
of
that,
Willow's friends.
well, okay, we'll switch it over. Okay, yeah. Let's say Will did the same thing Jada did with a female that was the same age as August, that was mentally not well, health wise was not well, was dealing with getting over drug abuse. Like, he was really in a position where he was very vulnerable in a lot of different ways. If that had happened, would we be defending Will, or would we be
Hell
canceling him?
no. Oh my, yo, listen.
That is my
Black
issue.
Twitter would have crucified
He
Will
would have
Smith.
been done.
Listen, if the golden boy of
DONG
Hollywood,
done.
Mr. Pursuit of Happiness, Mr. Fresh
What?
Prince, Mr.
Fresh Prince would have been taken
Men
off.
in
Like, oh, we
Black, you
not
know what I'm
watching
saying?
that no more.
Dog, they would have dogged Will Smith out of Hollywood if it had been the other way around. And yet,
Yes.
there's still so many. There's still. I've seen mostly women, but I've also seen some men even jump into the side of Jada, aiding her side of the story. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! Like, the same way that people trashed. You see people. I don't watch a lot of reality TV.
Mm-hmm.
But because of everybody posting about it, I still have an idea of what's going on with folks. And I see people trash, men for cheating on, their girlfriends, their wives, their spouses, or whatever, all the time. You know, remember when the Jay-Z and Beyonce thing came out, a few
Mhm.
years back, which I personally still think was a publicity stunt. I still personally don't believe that Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce, but let's say hypothetically he did, because the way that women trashed Jay-Z when that came out, and
Mhm.
then are quick to do the reversal, and now they're defending Jada. Like,
Mhm.
oh my goodness, man! Like
Yeah.
the hypocrisy is real.
It's very real. And my thing is, I'm a person that I don't like double standards. And my favorite old school saying is, if it's good for the goose, it has to be good for the gander. Which means, in translation, you can't do something and then when it's flipped around, go, oh, it's not the same. It's exactly the same. And
Every now and then, you remind me of how country you can be sometimes with these
no,
old school sayings that you be throwing out.
that's why I had to say it, because I'm like, some people be like, what's good for the goose? So if you don't know that, now you know. So take it and be blessed. But I think that we, especially for, and I'll say this because they're a black couple, and for black men, y'all been getting hit, in the head a lot as a whole. And even though sometimes we as a people, as black people, will point out each other's flaws and things we need to work on. I agree. As a whole, we have a lot of work to do. However, I don't like it when I see the tables being turned back, and like you said, people are defending Jada, and it's like, but she was wrong.
Hmm.
And if it had been, again, a female, that male female dynamic, as far as like the age difference, is usually always okay to me, for as far as what I've seen, when it's a man, when it's a woman, an older woman with a younger man. But if it was the other way around,
Hmm.
I feel like the whole dynamic would have been different. I feel like people would have dragged wheels.
Absolutely.
I feel like it would have been less jokes and more outrage. Like, this is more like, oh man, the memes are coming out, but it would have been, to me, more outrage. And like, oh, how could Will do this? Like, he took advantage of that girl. That's what it would have been.
Yeah,
Not
yeah, absolutely.
not congratulating him, like, oh man, you was in, like, no.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, it's a double standard, right? And
Yes.
don't get me wrong, there's a ton of double standards out there that favor men, that
Hmm.
that
There are.
unfavor women disproportionately. And we're
Hmm.
not saying that. Like, we are absolutely 100% agreeing with that. But people fail to talk about, there are a bunch of stereotypes that actually favor women and unfavor men. Like,
Yeah.
we can't just skip over those just because y'all don't want to hear them.
Yeah.
Like, nobody says anything when the cougar is with the younger guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's all fine and dandy, but for some reason when the older guy is with the younger girl, now it's creepy
Hmm.
and weird and predatory, whatever. It's the same type of behavior. It's just
Yeah.
the genders are different. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
these same women that are on social media and Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook and all this stuff all day long, trashing men, are like, oh, niggas ain't this, niggas ain't that, niggas cheat all the time, men cheat or whatever. First of all, obviously not every man cheats. You know what I'm saying? We understand that there's a bunch of men that do cheat, but we're not
Mhm.
gonna act like there's a bunch of women that don't cheat too. So you can't sit here and trash men that are cheating and then say it's okay when a woman cheats. Like,
Right.
that's not
But
right.
the old saying is, for women cheating, is we're smart enough to not get caught. And
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
and I to this day, in all my 32 years, I think that, no shade to men, but we have a lot. I don't know. I don't want to say we're smarter than men are, but
You plan better.
we plan a lot better. And
Women are better planners.
we think about A through Z, not just
Yeah,
A, B, and C. We go all the way out. So
yeah,
in comparison, yes, men get caught more. But if we look at the stats in truthfulness, it's like,
yeah.
yeah,
It's probably about even.
they're equal. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. But the
Yeah.
thing is, y'all get you guys have your live rehearsed down
Oh
pat.
yeah.
You get your
The whole
friends
crew
involved
knows the
with
lie.
it.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh
Yep.
my goodness, y'all have meetings about it. Y'all have listen. The way this is what I say. One of the best analogies that I could ever come up with the difference between how men's brains work versus how women's brains work. You ever do a research paper like in high school or college or whatever, and you had to come up with like an outline for a research paper, like you had to choose a topic and
Hmm.
then you had to come up with an outline before you even did the paper.
Yeah.
So when you look at the outline, right, you have A, B, and C for like your main points, your theses of that paper, like the main points you're trying to convey in that paper. But then
Mm-hmm.
under A, B, and C, and you have like A, and then it'll be 1, 2, 3 under A,
Mm-hmm.
and then B 1, 2, 3, and then C 1, 2, 3, and even under the numbers you have like the bullet points under the numbers. So it'll be like
Right.
A1 dot dot, A2 dot dot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When the way the men's brains work, we are A, B, and C. We are the main points of the outline, and we figure we cover the whole paper. The way women's brains work, you guys are the 1, 2, 3, and the dot 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 under each specific bullet point. You
Mm-hmm.
guys are so much more detail oriented.
And the notes at the bottom of the page that didn't fit in with the dot 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 and the
You
one
got
two.
footnotes,
We
you
got
got the
footnotes.
annotated bibliographies,
Listen,
and your thoughts are MLA
I'm
formatted.
one.
You
I am
you get
100% that person because
yeah.
I overanalyze everything.
Exactly. When guys have a story that we're trying to come up with, we cover like, okay, I got this covered, I got this covered, and I got this covered.
I
So
don't even think it's three. I feel like y'all just be like, yeah, she gonna believe me, and then try to take the lie. We're just like,
because we don't cover the details, we don't
yeah,
cover the small details. You
yeah.
guys you guys have it down pat, bro.
Hey,
You have a lie, and then you have a backup lie like, if the lie don't work out.
and then you got a, and then you got a person that both parties trust to co-sign. Like, man, just call my sister. She wouldn't lie. And then your sister co-sign like, yeah, your sister don't lie. You be like, see, I told you.
Right.
So like,
There's always
hey,
an excuse when a woman celebrity, a famous woman gets caught in the act. All of a sudden it's, well, they said they were separated. Well, they
yeah,
said they were done with each other. Like, no, they
that
still, no, come on.
that separated thing to me really like ticked me off because I'm like, no, when you are, and I've never been married before, but to me, if I was married and my husband and I separated, God forbid, I wish he would come back and tell me, oh, I did X, Y, and Z. I don't care if you kissed a woman on the forehead. You gonna see me when you, okay, come, let's talk about it. You gonna have to see me. Like, that is not okay. And I feel like them saying they were separated was probably their way of saying like, oh, well, both of us weren't, speaking, or both of us weren't on good terms, which may have been true. But the first thing I said was just as like you said, Will Smith definitely had some infidelity on his side. I doubt his slate is clean in this either. Like, both of them have done their dirt, and
Right.
his just hasn't come out yet. Because that's the other question is, when is his
But you know what?
curtain gonna be pulled up?
While I'm sure he has done some, you definitely got the sense in the video after watching it. If nobody watched it, they're not gonna think it. You actually have had to watch the Red Table Talk to get it. Um, Whatever he's done, I feel like was either one, in retaliation to what Jada did, or number two, not nowhere near on the same level of what Jada did. Because if you're paying attention to the back and forth of what they're saying, you know, he's still there's still a lot of emotions that he's conveying that they're not even yet. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
like he's the one that said, it took a lot for me to love you again. It took a lot for me to talk to you again. He's still saying stuff like, I'm still going to get you back, different things like that.
He's not over.
Um, and she's commending him in the video about like how awesome he is for loving her the way that he does now, and for coming back and working things out with her and different things like that. Like she's firsthand commending him to his face, different things like that. And you can
Mm-hmm.
tell like the faces that he's made. He's annoyed. He's still like hurt. He's angry. He's still got some animosity there that I feel like whatever was done
Mm-hmm.
in his mind still wasn't enough. Not condoning it or saying whatever he did was okay either. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
whatever he did, if he did do something, was wrong. Um, but and I feel like in their minds, he's still not on the same level as Jada yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I feel like in the next year or so we still might see some additional things. And okay,
Ooh.
listen, before we wrap up this conversation too, let me just say that that whole ride together but die together, bad marriage for life was the most cringeworthy thing I might have ever seen on on an online video. Like
I was flabbergasted. I was like, that's I was like, don't fist bump over that. Why would you do
Yeah,
that?
no.
Not funny. I didn't find it funny at all. And it was like you
Mm-mm.
said, it was very cringy and it was very like, to me, it was rehearsed because when they
Oh
said
yeah.
it, I was like, oh, so y'all were already planning on saying 90% of what they probably said at the table, they had already went over it between the two of them. I
Oh,
feel like,
I'm sure they had some discussions about it,
oh
but
yeah,
I don't know if that was. It could have been rehearsed. I mean, that's a good point. It very well could have been rehearsed, that line.
yeah.
Um, but also you got to remember, Bad Boys came out. What was it, earlier this year or last year, something like that?
It was last year, 2019.
Yeah, yeah, the Bad
Bad
Boys
Boys 3.
3.
Yeah.
And so I feel like even if it wasn't rehearsed, it's something that they still say to each other probably on the norm, especially like after that movie came out. They
Mm-hmm.
probably like kind of, because you know that's the thing with him and Martin that they
Right,
say
right,
in the movie. And so
right.
like I feel like they kind of took that and kind of spun it around to be like their mantra. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't necessarily think it was rehearsed, but you can tell that they've definitely
They
been
said
saying
it
that on a
before.
regular basis. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing was, when they were saying it, I was like, oh, Bad Boys for Life. Like, I was about to be like, yeah. And then it was like, Bad Marriage. And I was like,
No.
oh, no, I'm not high fiving to that.
Like, ugh.
Like, that's not a goal. Like, I know you saw that. I know you saw that meme because I think I had on my story where it was the person's reaction to that, the single people. And the guy was just like, that's what y'all doing? Like,
Yeah, no.
y'all think this is goals? It's not. It's not goals. To me, and then I'll let you wrap up. To me, it's just like, I think one, and this is in regards to Will, I personally think, and this could be a whole nother topic, when men get cheated on or when men get hurt, y'all take it harder. It's almost like you guys will, like, perfect example, a man cheats on his wife, right? Sleeps with another woman, all that. She finds out, she's hurt. A couple months later, she goes to lunch with a coworker, doesn't sleep with this man. Y'all be like, oh, you went to lunch with Ricky? And it's like, I just went to lunch. Like, it's the dynamic of what you guys do well, not you guys, but what men sometimes do to women. And women might do something that's like, well, I just went to lunch. Like, I didn't actually do anything. I think that it's ironic to see it in full view how men will react to something and how hurt y'all are, even though sometimes I feel like people think that men aren't necessarily as sensitive, but y'all do have feelings, y'all have
I mean,
emotions, and your pride, men's pride is the biggest thing that I feel like that and your ego will be hurt. And I feel like that's what Will was experiencing. Like, his ego was like, dang, like, it hurt him.
well, yeah, it definitely hurt him. And I mean, not every not every guy obviously is the same, just like not every woman is the same.
Oh
But
yeah.
but and like for me, I'm not tripping over if you went to lunch with somebody, because if I'm with somebody, they told me that they were gonna go to lunch with somebody.
Right.
But on the same
But
level,
then again,
if you
you're
get
not insecure. So that's the other thing. Like,
all right,
insecurity
but
is on both sides. Yeah.
well, insecurity is something that I feel like anybody who's an adult needs to have worked out before they really, because I think the
Uh-huh.
biggest difference is like women, I feel like, are quicker to love. You know what I mean? So like they'll get emotionally attached more soon to somebody, like sooner
Yes.
to somebody than a man will. But then once a man gets to that point and he's emotionally attached to somebody, um, I think we love like hard. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that I feel like that could be like maybe what triggers it there. I'm not saying women don't love hard. I'm saying you do, but I'm saying you get to that point sooner a lot of the times. I feel
Yeah.
like men kind of warm up to
It
it.
takes y'all
It takes
longer
a
to kind
longer,
of
but
like,
once we get there,
yeah.
we there. You know what I'm saying? We're like full on there. And if you're at that point with a woman, you like really love a woman. If pride and ego probably do play a factor to a certain extent, but I feel like when a guy has gotten to that point where we're like full on in love with a woman and she cheats on us,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you see the bruising. You know what I'm saying? That's when it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, I would have never put you, I would have never pictured you doing that to me. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
um, I think that could be more so what it is. But you know, the bottom line is, wrong is wrong. What she did was wrong. I don't care what anybody says about it.
Entanglement is a fancy word for cheating.
Basically, they were married. They were cheating. You know what I'm saying? It's still hilarious. I'm still laughing at it.
I'm
But
still gonna chuckle at the memes.
right, yeah, all y'all toxic folks, don't start using don't start getting in entanglements and categorizing your relationships like that. You
Yeah.
know, be honest about what you're doing. If you're doing wrong, you're doing wrong.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, tell us what you guys thought about our video, about their video, about the whole situation. Folks are probably tired of talking about it by now, but you know what? It's still hilarious, so we still gonna
Yeah.
talk about it. Yeah, tell us how you feel in the comments below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. From the Good and Terrible Show here. My name is Mickey. Your name is Mickey. My name is Travis. You guys have a great rest of your day. Be blessed.
Bye bye.